Welcome back, everyone. POW Ponder on Weather here. In this update, we've got the polar vortex returning as Arctic air will be plunging south over the next week or two. Then the snow line will be dropping further south as well. So let's take a look at the overall temperatures, and you can see that Arctic air really starting to build well to the north. In fact, it's 55 degrees below zero right now in Greenland, but all indication is this Arctic air will be plunging southbound and mix into the lower 48 going into next week. And it really gets cold the deeper we get into next week, but it's also going to be dropping the snow line as well. So we had some significant snows in portions of Denver yesterday. They picked up about 9 inches. Over there in North Platte, they almost had 14 inches of snow. Now the snow is flying into portions of Iowa, getting into Minnesota, as well as of Wisconsin. A little bit lighter amounts as you swing up into portions of Michigan. And then as you swing over into PA and upstate New York and Vermont, New Hampshire, they've got those winter weather advisories with a good 2 to 6 inch swath that we will be swinging through. But we also have newly formed winter storm warnings and watches in place for this area right here. Could pick up about 5 to 10 inches of snowfall over the next 24 to 36 hours. But where it's not snowing, where you are in the warm sector, is well up here to the Ohio Valley. In fact, this is a rare event, guys. This is something that's actually never happened in the month of January. For Ohio, we have an enhanced risk for severe storms well to the north. That goes to show you how unusually warm it's been. But we got a nasty squall line that's going to be developing into the later afternoon, early evening time frame, with all three modes on the table, with those significant winds and those larger hailstones, as well as an isolated tornado threat. Definitely can't be ruled out. So definitely be on high alert if you're up there in Ohio with this significant system that'll be moving through the early afternoon time frame, early evening time frame. So if you are new to the channel and like detailed weather breakdowns on North America, hit the subscribe button and you're in. You get all my daily content on this channel. It's also important to hit the like button as well. It definitely helps out more than you know. So let's take a look at the overall setup and take you back, because man, the deluge in California is over. It was a 22-day swath from essentially Christmas time frame. And here's some of these amounts. I mean, you're talking up to almost 18 inches of rainfall that fell over San Francisco, with almost 32 trillion gallons of water. We had, the Sierras had plenty of snow. In fact, it maxed out at 394 inches of snowfall. So, man, California really needed it in a big way. Lake Oroville went up about 130 feet alone, and we haven't even factored in the snow melt as of yet. In fact, this is the latest update on the drought model. That is taking a significant dent and the drought out there in California. So that has definitely helped out the reservoirs in a big way. It didn't wipe out the drought completely. It's definitely hard to do that with a 20-year drought they've been dealing with. But nonetheless, yes, finally they start to dry out, which they do need. But that welcome rain was a good sign for that area for the last 3 weeks. So the significant changes are going to be building in is this ridge of high pressure that will start to dry out much of the Pacific Northwest, but that'll also set up a trough a little bit further underneath, and we'll have several troughs coming through. And as each one pulls through, each will pull down a little bit more colder air and actually drop the snow line a little bit further south, especially as we get into early part of next week. But today, here's the setup about 5-6 o'clock in the afternoon. There is that nasty squall line that will be moving through Ohio, with all three modes are on the table with this significant event. We have some moderate showers that will be across the eastern seaboard, across New Jersey, back into Long Island, and getting up into Rhode Island and back into the Cape Cod area. But yeah, definitely be on high alert up there in Ohio with that significant squall line that will be moving through during that time frame. But there's the snow just over the next 48 hours as well. So we have that snow that's flying this morning, and then there's the renewed snow that will be pulling through Iowa as well as Minnesota. But the next 48 hours, we'll see the highest amounts over Vermont and New Hampshire and swinging into Maine. But after the storms move through, you will have a cold front. And with that cold front, you could be left with a dusting of snow into portions of Indiana as well as Ohio there. But yeah, as we move through, and this is where they have the renewed winter storm watches in place. This is that swath that will be swinging through portions of Kansas, far extreme portions of the Texas Panhandle. But notice this, notice the freezing line this time is a little bit further south. So as this system pulls through, that'll drop the snow line a little bit further south as well. So we'll have some light to moderate rain showers break out again in portions of East Texas, but heavier amounts of living along the coast into portions of Louisiana and lower Mississippi area into Alabama. But yeah, as we swing through and that snow line continues to move through, now we're talking places into Illinois, places into Indiana. They're going to get a snow swath of probably about a 2 to 4 inch swath of snow that will be moving through late Saturday into Sunday morning time frame. And that'll swing in through portions of Michigan with all rain further to the south and towards the southeast area. But what's significant is we'll have another trough that's going to be coming in, right? So we've been tracking this. This is on Tuesday morning. Look how far south it does. This is the latest European guidance, and it had this yesterday. It's actually got a little bit more slower solution. And with a slower solution, it definitely pulls in more Arctic air. But we've had 2 runs in a row hinting at this slower solution, and the German model, the Icon model, is also hinting at this little bit slower solution as well. And what that does is that's going to wrap in a little bit more colder air. It's going to have plenty of moisture with this. Right now the GFS is a lot more progressive with this system, but if it does hint at the slower solution, that will pull down some of that Arctic air and mix it in. Here's the latest Icon. It only goes out 120 hours, but this is about midnight on Monday night. It's already starting to hint where that snowpack is in western portions of Colorado. Yeah, you got negative numbers below 0. And that will pull in the colder air with that trough digging all the way down into West Texas. Look at the Texas Panhandle already dropping into the low 20s. I do feel this will be even a little bit colder, and we'll probably have that changeover from that rain into that snow mix into the morning hour on Monday. So here's what I'm looking at with the latest European guidance. It has that a little bit more progressive system, having that snow pulling further south into the Texas Panhandle, and this will inch its way over towards the Dallas-Fort Worth area coming up on Tuesday morning. I think it starts off as rain, but I do feel like with the dynamic cooling that's going to be taking place, here's what I'm looking at. Look at the temperatures on the 850s. This is about 5,000 feet up in the atmosphere. So as this rain, as the precipitation starts to fall, it's going to drop into this air mass. -4 Celsius is about 24 degrees. So as it falls, it will cool with the process called dynamic cooling and drop the temperatures about another 5 degrees. And that should be significant, dropping them through the lower 40s to the upper 30s to the mid 30s. So I'm not looking at a sticky snow or something that will stick on the surfaces. I'm looking like a wet snow, like a 35 or a 37 degree kind of wet snow as this process takes hold. And the latest GFS ensemble guidance actually has been hinting at this as well, favoring pulling back of a little bit more slower solution. With that slower solution, that pulls in more of the colder air and will drop it further south into Oklahoma and through North Texas coming in on Tuesday morning. So we'll definitely have to be watching this system closely as this dynamic system will be moving through into your Monday night, Tuesday time frame. So as this is the latest European guidance, it was actually a little bit more bullish yesterday, but this is two runs in a row seeing that concept of that dynamic cooling unfolding with just a wet snow. So I'm not expecting much of any of this to really kind of stick on the surfaces, because I do feel temperatures are going to be in the 35 to say 37 degree range. But I do feel the transition from that rain to snow should unfold or parts of the south here, moving across the Texas panhandle, moving across North Texas, moving across into East Texas and southern portions of Oklahoma, getting into Arkansas, getting into the Monday night, Tuesday morning into Tuesday afternoon time frame for those 24 hours. But as it continues to swing through the southeast, notice the vorticity, it really starts to flatten out. So as it flattens out, it stops the cold air from pulling in. So I do feel most of this will be in the form of just all rain into the southeast, but further to the north, where they do have a little bit more cold air to work with, that'll see the transfer into snow. So that's what we're seeing on the surface map into Indiana, through Ohio. So these are places that haven't really seen much snow, right? So you're going to be getting into the snow as this next system pulls through. And this will be into Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night time frame as this continues to move through. Kind of all rain in a squall line that'll move through central Florida and up into portions of Savannah, Georgia area. So, but as we move through and get into your Thursday morning time frame, there's that significant, low pressure center will be hugging the coast. So I do feel just unfortunately, I know, guys, it's like a broken record. It's another rain event along the I-95 corridor, as this snow will be more or less in the interior regions of into Vermont, New Hampshire, and especially heading into Maine with those heavier amounts. But what transpires after that is the Arctic air should start to really unfold as we get deeper into next week, especially by Friday, as the Arctic air really starts to take hold. So it definitely starts building out west, and it will slowly shift a little bit further east the deeper we go into the week. And by Friday, most of the country, most of the lower 48 should start to engulf in some of that colder, much colder air, and then even some Arctic air at times as well. And if you take a look at the overall ensembles of the European guidance on that week 2 time frame, going beyond that through the 25th, through that February 1st time frame, it definitely sees that colder air really encompassing. So we went through about a 3-week swath of just well above average temperature. So I do feel like the step down processes will be unfolding, and by the time we get into week 2, 7 days from now, for those next 7 days should be predominantly colder across the lower 48 on the European ensembles and even on the GFS. So we're seeing all the model guidance congruently coming together, with the Canadian model being a little bit more colder than the other solutions. But nonetheless, the Arctic air will be locked in place by then, especially by week 2, as we end January and head towards the beginning of February. But there's your precipitation. You can see California really drying out. The Pacific Northwest definitely takes a break on the precipitation front. Most of the setup where they do need it in Texas has been bone dry. So it's definitely been dry. Nonetheless, if rain or snow or not, they need the precipitation down there in Texas. It's been a month for a lot of you guys down there to see any type of precipitation. But once it moves into the southeast, I do feel most of this will be in the form of rain, if not heavier rains, the further you live along the coast, especially along the I-10 area. But then, yeah, as we swing up into through portions of into the northeast with those series of coastal lows, yeah, we could be picking up some healthy totals over the next 7 days as well into portions of the northeast. So hey, guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch me in the next update where I protect you before and after the storm.